This episode is the first two-part episode of the American Grown podcast. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to come back next week to hear the ending.
Israel military is far beyond, I feel. That's my opinion, because for hundreds of years they've been surrounded by their enemy.
Seriously, you're
and
right.
They're so small.
Right.
They've got to be a little dog with a lot of teeth.
Welcome to the American Grown podcast, hosted by Austin Sullivan. The American Grown podcast will focus on people from different walks of life and their journey to where they are now. Now, turn up your volume and settle in for a great episode.
This is the American Grown podcast, recorded inside the Colortech Creative Solutions studios. Today, we have Tim Labbe, a.k.a. Ramblin RedBeerd Navy Vet who served in Desert Storm and craft beer enthusiast. Tim, welcome to episode 60 of the American Grown podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
For the rest of the podcast, do you want to go by RedBeerd or Tim?
Let's go by Tim.
All right, that sounds good. We'll do that. You know, I wanted to wish you a happy new year because your episode's going to come out the first Wednesday of January 2024.
You as well.
Thank you. So being a big beer enthusiast, I got to ask, do you do, or does your family in the past, are they big sauerkraut, pork and sauerkraut people?
No.
No, really? Okay.
And it's funny, my mom didn't drink,
Yeah.
really, and my dad would have a beer. My dad was funny. My dad was old school, and he grew up during the Depression, and he would crack a beer and drink half of it, and then put a piece of tinfoil over the can.
Really?
And put it in the fridge for the next day or the next time or whatever. So I didn't really get any of the beer stuff. That came a lot later.
Okay.
Kind of in the Navy days.
All right, and we'll dive into all that. Just know that pork and sauerkraut, like especially for the New Year's, like a big thing, especially here in PA. And I didn't know if it was just like a PA thing, because you're from, I want to say Boston.
Boston.
I got it right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So we would do tradition. My dad was Canadian descent, and he had a tradition of doing pork pies.
What's
for
that?
Christmas? It's like a pie, but almost like a chicken pot pie, but it's all ground pork and some potatoes kind of tossed in there.
That sounds pretty good.
Bake it, and that was just a Christmas and New Year's tradition.
Yeah. This is the first time we're meeting in person.
Yeah.
We connected through Instagram, social media, the power of social media. I think it was your Instagram, like your bio, that caught my attention. You know, so you've traveled now to all 50 states and you visited 365 breweries. So that just really caught my attention.
It still blows my mind.
Yeah.
that I did it.
And I mean, and we'll dive into all that. And, you know, while you're going out, you are spreading word about Irreverent Warriors. It's a support network for veterans.
Correct. It's a community. So to sum it up really well is that a big part of what they think veteran suicide can be attributed to is loss of community. When you spend so much time in the military in a community that's tight, you know, people have your back, they all speak the same language as you, acronyms, you know what they're saying, and then you get out and you don't have that community. It's easy to get lost. It's really easy to get lost in society, and then you can spiral. So what Irreverent Warriors does is they put on these hikes throughout the country. I think there's 108 of them now. And actually we have some destination ones: Normandy, France, Puerto Rico, and London, England. And what they are is, in boot camp, nowadays, you're issued these things called silkies. And they're running shorts to do physical training.
I think I've seen them. They're real short, aren't they?
Real
Yeah,
short.
like real short. Yeah.
Real thin.
Yeah.
Guys like me, fat guys like me, should not be wearing them in public. So we wear them in public, and we march, walk 9 miles approximately. Each hike is kind of different, but you wear a pack if you want. People wear their combat boots. Now people get crazy and maybe wear costumes. It's really I should say, get your freak on, but it's really just the idea, I think, in the original plan is to feel vulnerable, feel vulnerable around a lot of people with a comfortable idea, right? Silkies is a comfortable idea for military people. So get them together in a way to get people out of the house. Right.
So they're not alone.
They're not alone.
Yeah.
And to make friends. And so the first hike I went on, I think there was 300 people, and that's a lot. Like even for nowadays standards. That was 2016, and you walk. There's all these like exercises kind of set up so that you can meet people.
Okay.
You're handed some hikes that they'll pass out playing cards, like 4 or 5 decks of playing cards, and you go around. You put it on your body somewhere, and you go around and try to find the person that has
your match,
your card.
Okay.
And you get talking with them. Other places they have what's called battle buddy cards, where you fill out your contact information and just hand it out to people. There's exercises where they'll break you into groups of 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, and everybody just tells their story and just talks. And then from there, the Facebook community is huge. So there's one main page for all of Irreverent Warriors, and then each hike has a Facebook page. And when you subscribe, you get notifications, and I've seen everything on there, from how do I start a lawnmower to I've got a gun in my mouth, somebody please call me.
Serious, dead serious, yeah.
So, and everything in between.
Wow.
And just like you would like in a family, right?
Yeah, you have
Stuff
each other's
happens.
back. Yeah, you look out for each other, right?
That kind of evolved into branches. So there's Irreverent Warriors outdoors group.
Okay.
There's Irreverent Warriors music.
Holy
group.
cow!
Like, so
it's a
if
big
you're
network.
Yeah, so if you're like a big outdoors person, you get but you want to do stuff with other veterans. You get on there and say, I'm in Pennsylvania and I want to do a hike. Anybody up for it? Or hey, I'm in Pennsylvania and I play guitar. Is there any other musicians? Or hey, I just got this new album. Whatever it is, and it's amazing. Like, so everybody just connects with everybody, and people help each other out. I've seen miracles. I mean, I've literally seen miracles happen through this organization.
Do you want to talk about some of the things you've seen, some of the miracles?
Yeah. So, I mean, on my trip, I can speak firsthand. When I left on the trip, I knew I was going to, when I say promote, just make people aware of Irreverent Warriors. And I had these T-shirts made that I sold, and I wanted people to ask me questions or me to tell people about Irreverent Warriors. And I said, the proverbial, if I help one veteran, then I'll have done, the trip will be worth it. And I personally helped a bunch, and then I witnessed a lot of other people help, where I'll be on hikes and people will give their testimonials. They'll say, yeah, 2 years ago, I literally was ready to pull the trigger, and I found out about Irreverent Warriors, and I went on a hike, and it changed my life. Yeah. And now I'm starting a business, and or I'm starting a family, or I'm better because they have that support group. And here's the thing that I really feel strongly about getting the message out. All veterans aren't mental cases.
Yeah.
Right. And not all veterans. People need help. People need help in everyday life, and there's struggles. And this year especially, right?
Yeah.
Everything is kind of gone to shit.
Yeah, everybody needs a friendly face.
Yeah.
Or a helping hand for sure.
Yeah. So the veteran community isn't, a whole bunch of crazy people. And the other thing is, you don't have to have. What I get a lot from veterans is, well, I didn't serve in combat, so I'm not worthy of support. And I'm like, you raised your hand, you took an oath,
you stepped up.
You stepped up to support this country. And you don't need to have seen your buddy get killed, or you don't have to have pulled the trigger yourself, whatever, to get out and need a community. You don't. And I think that a lot of people maybe don't ask for help for that reason. And I'm here to say, if you put the uniform on, you're part of the clan. You're part of the family. And
that's awesome.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Before we get into it, I wanted to say you have a kick-ass beard. I know that's so random, left field, but you do. And so I'm working on regrowing mine, but your beard's phenomenal. And being a beer enthusiast, I had to do some research. I looked up some other nicknames that I thought maybe you'd appreciate. Hophead, which I've heard that one before.
Yep.
Beer devotee, a grog artist, which I thought that was pretty good. Grog artist. My personal favorite, which if you didn't have Ramblin RedBeerd, I thought this would be good. The chairman of the Brood.
That's
I thought
great.
that one's pretty good.
Yep.
That's just my thoughts. And you brought some beer. I don't know if you want to crack it open, if it's before we get too in depth in the podcast. Thank you.
Yep. I would open it not near your equipment.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're right. That would be good.
I kind of
You didn't shake it up on me, did you?
no,
Okay.
but it fell off there. They're fine. And these are from a brewery right down the street, Snitz Creek.
Oh yeah, Snitz Creek. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's like 5 minutes down there, not even.
Yep. And it's got a beautiful label with veteran theme on it.
What do we got? Indiantown Gap. Oh, that's just north of here, north of Fredericksburg a little bit. Yeah, very cool. Cheers. Appreciate it. Oh wow, yeah, Snitz Creek is great. They're owned by the Funk family, so local family owns a bunch of restaurants and breweries and such. So thank you very much. I appreciate
welcome,
that.
of course.
I appreciate that, Tim. And there's so much we're going to talk about. And let's take one more sip. I want to get into background about yourself. Where were you born and raised? But you had mentioned with Irreverent Warriors, when service members come home from overseas, some of the things they struggle with, PTSD and things like that.
Yep.
I had quite a few veterans and current service members on the podcast. I'm a big supporter of service members, and two in particular. One being Rebecca Gundrum, which I mentioned, 20-year Navy veteran, suffers from PTSD, but she's learning to live with it, and she does phenomenal work. I don't know if you saw the painting when you came in, but she did the painting there. For the listeners, it's on Facebook and Instagram, American World Podcast. But there was another story. I had Matt Zeckman on. He's current active military. He was for lack of a better term, chopper gunner. He's still active, but when he came home from his time overseas, he said the hardest thing for him was, at night, lights off, doors are locked, but he said he still felt unsafe, even though he's home. Right. And he said the reason, and I said, well, why? You're home. You're not over in active, how do I want to say? You're not over in foreign lands. You're home. You're safe. That's, you should feel safe. And
downrange, I think, is what the is a term the military word for
so it'd be downrange. Okay, and he said, no, you don't understand, Austin. When you're over there in the shit, he's like, you have people, like you said, watching your back. They got your 24/7. They all are professionals. They all know how to use their firearms. And he's like, here, it's literally the lock on your door. That's the only thing keeping you safe at night. While you're sleeping.
Sure. And
I would have never thought that. I just never thought about that.
Yeah, and it's safe in many ways, not just like, oh, somebody might shoot me, somebody might break in. It's safety in it's if you live alone, you have that loneliness, right? You're in the middle. You're never alone. In the Navy, we slept 40 people to a room, 3 bunks high. You're never alone. If you're on duty, you're with at least one other person. So there's a lot to be. So when you get out, or just come home, right? Like you said, that guy, the guy when he would come home would feel that way. Yeah, there's a loneliness. There's a scaredness. You don't feel safe because you're so used to people being around you.
Yeah, which when he said it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. He's like, you're in your barracks, you have watchtower, so much security. So I just thought it was an interesting story, something that you could speak to on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like when I got out, I had my issues and I had my things and now years later and talking to, I did go find help and talk to somebody at the VA. And I had another thing that I'll get into later on down the road here. But, you do deal with stuff when you get out of the service. That loss of community, and a lot of people don't even realize it. I think it's something that unless somebody brings it up, or when you're in your own shit, I don't think you realize. Oh, it's because I don't have my community around me anymore. I don't have my buds. Right,
and we'll hit more on that. But let's get your background.
Yeah,
born and raised, family, siblings, as deep as you want to go.
Sure. Yeah, I was born in Dorchester, Massachusetts, and I was adopted from birth. My mom was young. She was in high school, got pregnant, and this is pre Roe versus Wade. So that wasn't an option. What the option was back then, I grew up, Boston's a very Catholic place, and there was this group, it's still around, called Catholic Charities. And they're an organization through the Catholic Church for unwed mothers. And there used to be a hospital, it's not there anymore, called St. Margaret's. And it was called St. Margaret's Hospital for Unwed Mothers. So if you were going to give your baby up for adoption through Catholic Charities, you went to this hospital. It was free. And that's what happened. But the funny part, she waited 8 months before she told anybody she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
She wore girdles. She gained other weight. She, just recently, I saw a picture of her at her prom where she was, I think, 6 months pregnant, and you can't tell.
Couldn't tell, yeah.
And
you hit it well, yeah.
Yeah, so the result, though, was when I was born, so she went to her dad, and she has a brother that just passed away who played professional baseball. And he was home. This was Vietnam time. Okay. So he was home. He had to do he was, part of selective service, had to do his training on weekends. So he'd pitch and then fly home and do his training. And he was home, and she said, "Hey, can you help me tell
Dad,
Mom and Dad?"
Yeah.
And he did, and they figured out a plan. Well, my grandfather had an oil delivery business, and most of his people were Catholic families, and he thought that he'd lose a lot of business.
Wow, he's really. I mean, I guess back then
this was the '60s, right? This
community.
was '68, and things were so different, so different.
Wow.
And the decision was go through Catholic Charities and give and not tell anybody. They didn't. So her and her brother, my uncle, and then her parents were the only people that knew.
Wow.
And so they brought her there for the last month and a half. And then because she had been wearing the girdles and doing all this stuff, I was under 3 pounds.
Really?
And the doctors, again, this is '68, were like, I don't think he's gonna live.
Gonna make it, yeah.
So
especially back then, right?
Yeah. So it's a funny story now. The parents that raised me,
okay,
like there's a process, right? Oh, you're next on the list, so you're contacted, and you can come pick the baby up on this day. So my parents lived outside of Boston and had to take like a train, 2 buses, and a trolley in to get me. Wow. And so they come in with the baby bassinet, empty bassinet, and only to go to the desk, and then say, he's not ready to go, and he may not be ready to go. He's in an incubator, and we're hoping for the best.
Fingers crossed, saying prayers. Yeah.
Yeah, and the irony, they issued me a birth certificate, which they usually don't do for adoptions because you have to issue a birth certificate to issue a death certificate. Yeah. So, and that's funny. So, long story short, I'm fine.
Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it worked out. Thank God.
The thing. So the funny story is so the parents that raised me were absolutely amazing. Like I can't look back and look at one thing and go, God, I wish for this or I wish for that.
Yeah.
And we lived a very simple life. My dad was a guidance counselor.
Okay.
And my mom didn't work. But prior to my sister and I coming around, she was amazing. She worked with blind preschool multi-handicapped kids.
Wow.
So like kids that most people would write off, right?
Right, yeah.
She worked with them and
that's phenomenal.
Taught them and taught them out. And then her whole life she worked with blind people. That was like her specialty. And she just on the side, and not for money, her specialty was she would go in to these shut-ins who didn't think they could make it couldn't figure out how to do things on their own. And she'd teach them how to go shopping, how to get on a bus.
Wow. Just out of the kindness of her own heart.
Yeah,
Like, just,
yeah. Oh, she would work. She would sit in church basements and answer prayer lines.
Yeah.
She was just a special human being. But she passed away early. She passed away when I was 21, and doing what she loved. She had gone back to work, and she worked with kids individually. And my mom was 4'11".
Oh my goodness, 4'11".
Yeah, I was taller than her when I was
like
like
7. You're a tall dude. Yeah, right. But still, yeah.
And then my dad was 5'3", so it was really funny.
That is funny.
Everybody later in life thought I was my sister's boyfriend. So, but every day she would climb up on this desk and hang this. It was a mobile, like with different arms.
Oh, okay.
And each arm had something with texture, and that's how she would teach blind people colors. You know, cotton ball was white.
Oh, wow.
Sandpaper was black. You know, it was just different things.
Yeah.
Well, she hung it up, and the desk gave way, and she hit her head and was killed instantly.
What?
Yeah. So that plays into the story in that every once in a while, and I say a lot, she would pray. Like, we were very Catholic, very prayerful family, and all the time she would pray for the mother that gave me birth.
Yeah.
And her goal in life, she goes, I wish more than anything I could talk to her and thank her for giving me the gift of raising a child that I couldn't do myself. And so when she passed away, I said, I'm going to make good on that. And as soon as Massachusetts laws opened up where you could go searching, I did. I found my biological mother and her, and that's how I know all these stories about.
Okay, I was going to ask
what happened.
Yeah, how did you find this all out?
And I've been pretty close with her and the whole family. I've got 2 half brothers.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I say half brothers and a half sister. We're in the process. We think maybe now that we're actual brothers and sisters.
Really?
Yeah. So her boyfriend was in Vietnam when I was conceived. Well, when I was born.
Okay.
And I've been on this trip. I hung out with a lot of family members that I hadn't before because they lived in different states.
Right.
And I had time to spend with them. That uncle of mine that played professional baseball ended up living in Arizona, and I spent some time out there with him. And they have all these photo albums and all these things, and they're like, so everybody knows who now. Like, they're like shocked. How did she hide that?
Yeah, right.
And then they know who the supposed like father is, and they're like, there's no way. I think it's so. Then when her boyfriend came back from Vietnam, they got married and they had 3 kids. And I'm looking at these pictures, and it's just what the hell? So anyway, we're gonna go through the DNA testing and see if
really,
like
and figure it out. Yeah.
And their dad actually has said a few times, looking at pictures of me, he's like, "Well, I was home in November on leave, and,
so it could line up, yeah."
So it's just a funny.
Yeah, the world is funny like that,
Chapter like that, and then just to add a little funny tidbit to it, my biological mom and I were out to eat in a place called Hingham, Massachusetts.
Okay.
At Wahlburgers.
Marky Mark
and his brother.
Yeah.
And their mom was the host at the brother that's like owns a really, really nice restaurant right across the street.
Yeah.
And he's the one that made Wahlburgers and the recipes and all that. Well, she works at she's passed away, but worked at his restaurant, but would go back and forth. And she came in, and of course, this was at the height of like that show, and everybody knew her, and she's talking with everybody, and she started talking to my biological mother and me. And we going down this rabbit hole, there's a very good possibility she was in the room when I was born.
What?
Because she worked at St. Margaret's in the maternity ward. There was only one birthing room.
Yeah.
And
holy cow.
She says, unless I called out sick that day, I worked Sundays.
She was probably there when
I
you were
would have
born.
been there. So,
dude, that's crazy. That's a crazy
just a
story.
weird
small world. Like,
yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I went down a whole rabbit hole. So I was raised by great parents. And like I said, so my dad, the dad that raised me, had tried to become a priest. He went to Jesuit priest school. He went to Boston College, then preschool, and he was a couple years in, and they said, "Listen, there's a real shortage for jobs. Like, you can continue, but we don't know. We can't promise you a job." And so he went back to Boston College and got his master's degree, and met my mom like a few weeks later, and everything worked out cool. But he definitely had that like priest calmness and mentality and simplicity. And I think that like my DNA and my makeup is not that.
No.
I'm hyper and crazy.
Outgoing seems.
And, and I think that his demeanor and like learning from him balanced me off and like really helped me with a lot of things in life where I might have just gone off the rails because I was,
it's yin and yang kind of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now, growing up in Boston, what was school like? What was high school, middle school like? And, after that, what were your plans?
Yeah. So school was great up till a point. I was gifted intelligently. So grades weren't tough, but I caught a lot of flack for it. So I hung out with a lot of jocks.
Okay.
We were called hawkers because we were the Waltham Hawks. I grew up in a town called Waltham.
Yeah.
So the jocks were hawkers. And then I grew up with a bunch of, my neighborhood were a bunch of stoners. And neither group, it was cool to be smart.
Okay.
You were kind of picked on. And I think I chose the peer pressure route and started like not doing well in school purposely to fit in.
You didn't want to be an outcast or get judged.
Yeah.
Especially at that age. Yeah.
And so I really didn't apply myself that way. I was a very good athlete. I played baseball at a high level and played on the football team. And our football team was, like pretty good. Really good. And we had some great teams.
What position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Oh, wow. Wide receiver. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
I was thinking tight end, but wide receiver.
I was a lot skinnier than
Oh, okay. He's a big guy. Big build.
I've drank a lot of beer since then.
There you go.
If I had known beer would have bulked me up like that, I would have been drinking a lot more in high school. But no, I got you. But we had some great teams. So growing up, I played football my whole growing up years, and we had a team when we were like 14, I think, Pop Warner.
Yeah.
And we went undefeated and unscored upon.
Whoa.
The whole, I think we played 11 games, right? But we nobody scored on us.
But still at that age, it's like almost unheard of, yeah.
So, and then we all moved up the ladder, and we all ended up, and we only lost 2 games in our senior year, and it was great. Wow. It was really cool to be on the football team in my school. And then I was great at baseball. I was a pitcher. Loved sports. Like I was a great basketball player until everybody else caught up to me in height.
Yeah.
Then I wasn't that great. But I love sports. And then school was good. And then I didn't know. I grew up around a lot of military. My dad that raised me was an Air Force vet. My uncle was a Vietnam vet and a Marine Vietnam vet. So,
oh, wow.
Marines love to remind you they were Marines a lot.
Yeah.
And I looked up to this guy so much for a million reasons. But the fact that he was a Marine, and I used to wear a Marine Corps T-shirt all the time, and I really felt like that's what my calling was to do some military service. And my parents, obviously, they were very academic, so they wanted me to go to college. Yeah. They'd actually wanted me to go to get me out of public school because they knew they were smart enough. My dad, being a guidance counselor, was smart enough to see why I was kind of tanking the grades. So they wanted to send me to a private school to kind of get me out of that thing. And I was like, no, I'm playing Waltham football.
Play football, yeah.
So I started thinking more about that. And then I started getting some, a couple scouts for baseball were looking at me for pros.
Oh, wow. And
I actually talked to one scout, and there's this thing called a supplemental draft that baseball used to have. And it's like, hey, we'd like you to be part of our organization. You're not under contract, you're not anything, but we think enough of you to send you like to these instructional leagues. But I would have had to quit my senior year of high school.
And you don't want to do that?
No, I wanted to. My parents did.
Oh, your parents? Oh, geez. Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, they're like, no.
But my dad researched it, and it's like back then, these things don't even really exist in America anymore. They have them down in, like Venezuela and Dominican Republic, but not here anymore because they don't want kids quitting school and going to these instructional leagues. And my dad researched it's like 1 in a million chance. Like 1 in every million people that go through this instructional league could make pro.
Yeah, could make it.
So he's like, yeah, this is so
this ain't gonna fly. Yeah.
So that was that. But so then I said, okay, college. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't. I could, I knew I was smart.
You didn't want to go to Boston College, or
I did, but
because you had the grades, probably.
I didn't have the grades then. Like I said, I kind of tanked on the grades.
Yeah,
but I knew I could do like a year at, regular, a lower school and transfer. So it was an option, and but then I just felt like I said, I think I want to do this military thing. So I don't know the exact date, but I think once I turned 17, that's the legal age you can join the military, but with your parents' permission. I went down to the recruiting office, and I took the ASVAB test, and I went back, and the Marine recruiter was at lunch. So the Navy recruiter was like,
I was going to ask, how'd you get with the Navy? Okay.
While you're waiting, let's go to this bar across the street. I'm 17.
17, yeah.
He gets a few drinks in me, and all of a sudden, I think the Navy's the greatest,
best
thing ever. And not one. Everybody tells these stories.
Yeah.
There's not one thing a recruiter tells you that's real.
Really? Yeah.
No, it's they're used car salesmen personified.
Right.
They're trying to convince you.
Their job is to get numbers, get numbers.
That's it. And the military is. I loved my time in service. Don't get me wrong. But you can't really sell it to somebody. Yeah. Hey, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be this. You're going to be like.
There's no high points. You're saying?
No.
Until you
without experiencing it.
Right. Until you experience it. Yes.
Right.
And the brotherhood and everything. That's when you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But selling it to a 17-year-old kid.
It's tough.
You got it. There's a lot of lies. So.
Yeah.
Because my scores were high, that's why he really tried hard, because he would get bonus points for putting people into these higher job job things, right?
Yeah.
MOS, as we call them. So he says, well, you can be a nuclear technician.
Whoa.
I said, what does that mean? He says, well, you could be on submarines. I was like, nope.
No, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. Yeah.
He says, but he goes, oh my God, air traffic controller. You'd be on an aircraft carrier.
Well, that'd be pretty cool.
And he says, oh yeah, and because you only work when the airplanes are flying, you're the first one off the ship and the last one on, and all this is total bullshit.
Was that a lie? Yeah, was that a lie?
Garbage. Oh, and then you can get out and make. It's funny because this was 1986. You could make $50,000, which back then, was great money.
Oh yeah.
And was kind of the truth. But anyway, so I joined the Navy, and I went home with the papers for my parents to sign, and I walk in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And my mom was very much a pacifist.
Yeah.
The military wasn't
not her deal.
And the thought of a son going into the military
didn't sit well. Probably.
No, because she had, she grew up. She had a lot of friends that were killed in Vietnam and stuff. So anyway, I tell them the good news, and my mom's like, "No,
yeah,
you're not doing that.
She's not signing it. Yeah,
no." And then overnight, my dad talked to her. Now, my dad spent 4 years in the Air Force, but primarily, almost 100%, just to get that GI Bill.
Okay,
my dad was a very, very smart man, but very poor growing up, and there was no way he was going to college without the GI Bill. So that was just a means to an end. So it wasn't like he was like flying the Air Force flag out in our front yard and singing their songs. In fact, he very rarely talked about his service, but he still knew. He experienced it, and he knew what it can do. And so he kind of convinced my mom that, hey,
it'd be good for you.
It'll be good for me.
Yeah.
And it was, and it really was. I don't regret. I mean, I could probably go down a list of things. I go, yeah, that sucked, but I don't know. You do it, and I'm so happy now. Like I realize that it's something that can't be taken away from me. I'm proud that I served our country during the time that I did, And I'm proud now that I'm in a position to help other veterans with their struggles or just anything. You don't even have to be struggle. Just help in any way I can.
Let's take a sip break if you're good. The beer enthusiast, you got to wet your whistle.
Right.
Before we go too far, because I feel like listeners will ask, who was your uncle, first last name, that was the baseball player?
Yeah, Jim Bucher.
Okay.
He played AAA ball for the Kansas City Athletics, which is funny now because they just moved to Vegas. So they started in Philly, then ended up in Kansas City, then Oakland. And it was funny because the year I was born was their first year in Oakland, and that was his last year as an A. So he was going to move in, and that was going to be the year that maybe he moved up to the pros, but he never made it up into the pros. But he had a great, playing AAA baseball. He had a great life, going all over the country, and
that's really cool.
Yeah,
and I wanted to also thank you for your service. I appreciate it, and I feel like a lot of people don't say it. I don't know, maybe because they're too afraid to come up and say to a veteran.
It's a weird thing because I think if you ask any veteran, it's awkward, right?
Yeah,
like, hey, I just hey, thank you for being a firefighter. Or
it's
thank
a job,
you for being
right? It's like a job.
Postman. Yeah. And so, but I do think that it's nice, and I think that a lot of it has to do with we learned from Vietnam, and that when veterans came back from Vietnam, they were shit on.
Yeah.
They were outcasts. They were horrible, like treated very horribly. So I think that the first chance that America got to try to fix that was Desert Storm, and the floodgates opened.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember coming home and there being yellow ribbons around trees. I got hundreds of letters from like people just to any sailor, from third graders to whatever,
The support was abundant.
The support was crazy. And I think it was like, hey, we've really messed up with the Vietnam vets. Let's not ever do that again. And so the country took on this persona of thank a vet, thank you for your service. Veterans Day became a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
Things like that. Veterans discounts all over the place now.
Yeah.
So as much as a vet will say they're awkward, it's nice. It really is nice for people to say thank you for your service.
And from my perspective, it's a sign of respect, right?
Yeah.
Because not everyone's willing to do what you and so many others have done. And I feel like that's a thing that's missing in this world is respect, and and especially for people that sacrifice so much. That's why I thank all of our service members, men and women that are out there. Just appreciate what you do, because I feel like a lot of people either don't say it because maybe they're too afraid to, or I don't know. People just lack of respect sometimes. So
no, that's fine.
Yeah,
and I get like it's a subject. Like it's a subject because, like even us vets joke around. Like we'll be on the hike and people will come up and we'll go, yeah, thank you for your cervix.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Things like that.
That's great.
We make fun of it,
right?
And kind of joke around with it. Because I truly believe that veterans are humble in a way, but very outgoing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
personalities for sure.
Too. Oh, absolutely.
So interesting story. My favorite teacher in middle school was Mr. Meritz, and he was he served. He was in Desert Storm. Okay. Just a phenomenal guy, and I gotta find him on social media. I'm sure I will, but because I love to have him on. I remember he tells stories of his time, overseas, and just a phenomenal guy. You want to talk about Desert Storm, your time? How did you get from you went in, the recruiter said, "Yep, you're coming to the Navy." Like, what's that experience like?
So it was weird. So the good part about joining early was I get to go through this thing called DEP, which is Delayed Entry Program. So I had a whole year before I left for boot camp. So the recruiter put on these DEP meetings. So you got to learn a lot about what to expect, especially in boot camp. So I was ahead of the game going into boot camp. And then I had an absolute blast between the end of my senior year in August when I left for the Navy. And I went a little crazy. And it was funny because in my mind, I'm never coming back. I'm joining them. I'm out of here.
You're out. Yeah. Not coming
Peace.
home. You're going to do your thing. Yeah.
I've saying goodbye to my hometown. I'm never coming back. So, yeah, there's some funny stories about asking every girl out that I ever wanted to because I'm like, I'll never see them again. And, yeah. But so then it's the recruiter picks you up and brings you to what's called MEPS, which is the Military Entrance Processing Center or processing, whatever. And you go through the physical, you swear in, and now it's official. Like now
it's real.
It starts, and you just get treated like shit.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because the whole boot camp is a science. Boot camp is break you down to your lowest level and put you back together the military way.
The way they want you.
The way they want you. But they have to beat you down to be able to then build you back up. And it's a lot of the Navy. It's a lot of mental. It wasn't a whole lot of physical stuff in the Navy. It was a lot of mental stuff. And then you fly. It was the first time I'd ever been on an airplane, so that was kind of cool. And nervous, first time flying, you're always nervous. So I'm nervous to go to boot camp. I'm nervous to fly. And I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, which is just outside Chicago. I get there in August, and it's hot as shit. So we still did some physical stuff. It wasn't like we didn't do any. So it's really hot. And the second you get off, the funny story about my first day in boot camp was I remember getting off the airplane and having a piss real bad. So I ran to the bathroom and got in trouble because now they gather you up and now you're theirs. And you get on this bus and you go to the boot camp and they bring you you get off the bus, everybody's calling you a bug, and they bring you into this room and then they piss test you. Well, I had just gone.
Oh no.
So they are prepared. So they have a bubbler with a clock over it. And you have to drink a sip of water every 5 seconds until they get you. I don't know if they forgot about me or that was the deal. I think I drank 2 gallons of water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Trying to take a piss, yeah.
I go in and piss. Well, I've still got 2 gallons. And then they put you in these rooms. And, the military thing about hurry up and wait is a real thing. Hurry. And then you sit there forever. And I'm in this room.
You got to piss again.
I got to piss like it's coming out my ears. I'm raising my hand. I'm telling people, please, let me piss. And they're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, my grandfather would say your eyeballs were floating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I am going to piss myself day one of boot camp.
Oh, man.
And I still think my kidneys aren't the same because it was
of that moment.
brutal.
Yeah.
And that was my first day of boot camp. And then boot camp was kind of fun. I was the entertainment because my Boston accent, which I've lost since, everybody's like, just say anything.
Just say anything.
You sound ridiculous.
Coffee or, yeah.
So, so that was boot camp. And then I went from boot camp to Memphis, Millington, Tennessee, which is right outside Memphis. And that's where all the aviation, naval aviation, everything except for flying an airplane, you go there for school. So you live in dorms, but they're military dorms. So nobody is allowed in there that doesn't live there. Every third day you're on duty, so you can't leave.
Oh, wow.
You have chores and all this. And I actually had a blast, and my roommate was this guy from outside Nashville, Troy Schroeder, and his country as country got. I had never heard a country song in my life
until that moment.
Until I walk into the room, and he's got cowboy boots on, underwear, and a cowboy hat.
Nice,
singing "Country Boy Can't Survive" by Hank Williams Jr. at the top of his lungs. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And
oh man!
And we've been friends
since.
Yeah, I spend 2 weeks every year hunting with him. I just got back. I go down to his place outside awesome. Nashville and hunt, and we've been friends. We're like brothers. We went. He was a little, obviously ahead of me in school, but we went to the same ship and spent 4 years together on a ship, and then we had both re-upped, and then I went to Brunswick, Maine, Naval Air Station, and he went to Memphis. And then when Clinton got elected, he made a lot of bullshit moves when it came to the military. A lot of it had to do with pay. Like, you know, he campaigned saying he was going to cut defense spending. Well, he cut pay for us. So, like,
Jesus.
I had just made E5, and life is, you know, I really got a lot out of one of your guests, Damian Vargas.
Vargas, yeah.
Where he talks a lot about that. Like, you can't mess with fate.
Yes.
Like, shit's I don't know if it's predetermined, but like, when you give in to fate and let it happen, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like there's you know, everything happens for a reason kind of thing. And Damien's a great guy. I knew him in high school, and he owns a cafe, R&B cafe.
Yep.
You know, here in town.
But he had like a Latin saying or something, right?
Yes. Oh God, I wish I
can't
knew
remember.
it.
But
Yeah.
it's having to do with fate, and you just got to live with it. So anyway, now I don't look back. Yeah. So after 6 years, I left, and but before that, so Brunswick, Maine is about 40 minutes north of Portland, Maine, and Portland, Maine is the craft beer like mecca. Like everybody says Vermont is, but I think that came later. But Portland, Maine has, I think, 17 breweries, and Portland's not that big of a
I didn't
city.
think so. Yeah.
But the OG Gary's, and it wasn't craft beer then. It was just a brewery, Budweiser. But anyway, so there was a place that opened up the week I got to Brunswick called Gritty McDuff's.
Okay.
And they were calling themselves a brewery, and it was like a restaurant, but they made the beer downstairs, and they didn't even know how to price it because there was no such thing.
It was so new. Yeah.
And so they literally would go around with pitchers, and you just throw change up on the the platter, you know, the tray, and they'd pour your beers and stuff. And then finally they got pricing, but it was still cheaper than regular bars, and we loved it. And the beer was good. And I think what happened, you know, I'd been all over the world, and I drank great beer. So going back to Busch Light,
It's not the same.
terrible.
Yeah, that ain't gonna cut it.
No, so then all of us guys that had experienced drinking great beer, we were like, this is amazing.
Yeah, where were some of the places, if you don't mind? Like, where were you throughout?
Yeah, so almost everywhere in the Mediterranean.
Wow.
So we we're part of what's called the Sixth Fleet, which is it's probably split up. I don't know if it's exactly half, but there's a fleet that goes in. It's a carrier and so many support ships that are always in the Mediterranean. And then there's one always back at home, and then there's always one in the Caribbean. Like there's battle groups, what they're called. So Spain a bunch, Italy a lot, because you would stop there twice. It's called a med cruise, a 6-month cruise. Egypt, Turkey, Tunisia, which I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, I never heard that.
It's in between Libya and Egypt.
Okay.
It's the old Carthage. So if you're a history buff, Carthage, it's in Tunisia and Alexandria, Egypt were kind of like sister cities, and but it was a shithole. I'm saying you should book your trip to Tunisia anytime soon.
People aren't in a hurry to get there. Yeah,
It was actually, if you're familiar with the Indiana Jones movie, they filmed the scene where the guy is like ravishing this like big sword.
Oh yeah,
and he just casually turns around, shoots him, and walks away.
Place? Yeah.
That was filmed in Tunisia.
Wow.
And that's probably the only thing worth of note for the country of Tunisia.
Yeah.
But it was weird because Tunisia shared a border with Libya, which at that time we were at war, in essence, at war with. And there were Libyans in the bars in Tunisia because they would come over the border to work. So that was freaky.
That's wild.
Yeah, but like Israel was amazing to me. We had a blast because one of my own big like scares in the military was we were in the Mediterranean Sea and we were just fucking with Libya. So Gaddafi had this thing called the Line of Death, and it was like this imaginary line at the mouth of what was called the Gulf of Oman. And he says, any anybody that isn't Libyan or one of our allies that goes in, automatic death. So we're going in and out of it.
Just
like
a fuck
pretty
with
much
him.
with a
Yeah,
big
just
middle
fuck
finger
him.
in the air.
Yeah.
And so he sent 2 MiGs. They were Libyan MiGs.
What is
they're a Russian plane.
Okay.
So almost everything Libya had was Russian.
Oh wow.
Given to them by Russia. And it's just it's one of their better fighter jets, but it's a fighter.
Okay.
And sent them headed right at our ship. So we had F-14s in the air, and the F-14s. When I say intercept them, like what's weird about what's actually happens now with aviation warfare and what you see in the movies.
Yeah, like Top Gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing a lot of your fighting 200 miles apart.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because you're locked on with radar for your missiles and stuff.
So you don't need to be like
You
in the
don't need-
movies. They're like right next to each
Yeah,
other.
because it's kind of hard in a movie to show a dogfight that's 400
it wouldn't be that. Yeah.
miles apart.
Right.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
they're closing. But if you're doing 700 miles an hour
You're
at
flying.
each other, that 400 miles
Closes.
closes really quick.
Yeah.
So the F-14s did all these things. So there's these maneuvers that are all predetermined by world law, and I don't know what that is. I would guess it's like a Geneva Convention thing, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like if you rock your wings and you do this and you maneuver a certain way, the action of that other plane says whether you're at war or not at war.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So I'm listening to this, right? Because I'm an air traffic controller, but I'm working in air operations on the ship, and I'm listening to this, and the pilot is freaking out because he can tell these Libyan MiGs are locked.
They're serious.
They're locked on. So they press a button.
Yeah.
That missile's shooting them down. There's no, you could maybe evade it, but
Yeah.
it's not a fun position to be in regardless.
No, right. Right. Yeah.
So, but here's the problem with America, and you hear this a lot with military people, terms of engagement.
Yes.
So there's American military have these very, very, very strict terms of engagement. And what they are is you cannot pull a trigger unless these criteria are met.
Okay.
And lots of people have gone to jail for doing their job,
Yeah.
right?
It's interesting you bring this up real quick because that gentleman I mentioned, Matt Zeckman, who owns Cleona Coffee Roasters in Anvil, he was a chopper gunner, a door gunner, and he had a similar thing. I believe in that episode, it was an AK-47 or something like that was pointed at him, and like you said, there's these rules of engagement, and but yet the guy's got the gun pointed at him, so it's like, what do you do? But continue, yeah,
But you're under certain things. You can't shoot back.
yeah, unless you're like shot at,
Shot
or
at,
or
or
what he said,
I
yeah.
even think it's even stricter than that. But
Oh, shit.
in this thing, these pilots could not shoot, and
So they're sitting ducks.
yeah. So literally, what had to happen? Somebody had to wake Ronald Reagan up,
Wow.
and get permission,
Yeah.
because if we shoot that plane down, we're now at war, and you need permission from the president to
Yeah.
do it. So the whole time, this guy's screaming in, they're locked on, they're locked, they're fucking locked. And you could tell he's freaking out.
Yeah.
And then you hear this guy in what's called the Combat Information Center, weapons yellow, which means you can't shoot.
Oh, nice.
You can arm them.
Okay.
Right? You can get them ready.
Be
but you
prepared,
can't shoot.
but, yeah.
Weapons yellow. Fucking weapons. And you can listen. You can bring this. This is all on YouTube.
Okay.
There's hundreds of in-cockpit
Yeah.
video of this all happening, and he's freaking out. And then they actually pass each other,
Whoa. Yeah.
right? And that's
Right.
on video. And then now they're in a real dogfight where, like you see in the movies, they're in close. But
Yeah.
if he had been allowed to shoot, it would have been over a long time before they got close. Well, then finally they got the permission. So, weapons green. And they made 2 basic maneuvers and shot the MiGs down.
And that was it.
And that was it. It was
Wow,
over
that
like that.
quick, yeah.
Yeah, because it's far superior pilots.
Yeah.
Too. I think really the only Air Force in the world that's not superior to us is Israel. Israel military is far beyond, I feel. That's my opinion, because for hundreds of years they've been surrounded by their enemy.
Seriously, you're
and
right.
they're so
yeah.
small,
Right.
It's
yeah,
they've got to be a little dog with a lot of teeth,
for sure.
right? I watched.
Well, they have that Iron Dome, and I mean, this is more recent. Just hearing things in the news, and that blows my mind how it intercepts these missiles coming from these foreign nations to protect their people.
Well, we
and
have
everything.
that too.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Reagan they call it Star Wars, but
no way. Really?
I think if missiles came in to the United States, I'm pretty sure they're going to get intercepted.
So we have something similar.
Yeah. So we had
Yeah.
so even on our ship, we had defensive mechanisms because we were pretty defenseless as a carrier. We didn't have any guns. We didn't have this.
Really?
We
So
had these
carriers
things
don't
called-
have any guns?
No, we had these things called Sea-Whiz, which I've forgotten what that acronym means now. But it looked like a giant R2-D2.
Okay.
And it was like a Gatling gun. And it would just swivel and it would shoot 50 cal rounds.
Oh, wow.
I forget how many per second, but a shit ton.
Yeah.
And because one of my earlier jobs on the ship for what was called general quarters or battle stations was to feed the bullets into this thing. And that would shoot down missiles. But it was kind of by luck. Like, I mean, the aiming was, I'm sure wasn't all that great.
Right.
But there was somebody inside with a radar that would shoot.
That's what I was gonna say. Was it a human or was it a?
No, it was a human, but they weren't in that. They were
Okay.
somewhere in the ship.
How did you feed?
They
a
were
belt?
boxes,
Yeah.
and they were on belts,
Okay.
like most 50 cal, and in 9-yard belts. Which I love the origin of things,
Okay.
and so if you ever wondered why I gave it all 9 yards. Give it all 9.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, right? Well, it's 10 yards is a first down in football.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, 9 yards is a machine gun belt. So if you give it 9 yards, you give it all 9 yards.
That's all it has.
You give them all your bullets.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's
there's a
interesting.
little background. So yeah, we'd feed these, and like you'd be constantly feeding these boxes of ammunition into the Sea-Whiz. So, but anyway, so we shoot these Libyan MiGs down. Well, now we're at war.
War, right?
And we're off the coast of Libya. And now general quarters goes for real. Like, so, shit, 10 times a week we would do general quarters as a drill. Now this is a drill, this is a drill. We're on. And yeah, so I had to go out to the Sea-Whiz. Now, the last thing I knew, the radar was showing that all sorts of ships were being launched from Libya.
Jesus.
And I'm like, fuck, we're at war. And we just kept sailing, and eventually nothing. And we just stand down, and that was it. Well, we kept sailing, and our next port visit scheduled was Libya. It was Israel. So Israel hates Libya. They've heard this news. We walked in like conquering heroes.
Yeah, I bet.
And they rolled out the red carpet for us, and it was a lot of fun.
It's a neat experience for sure.
Yeah, and Israel was cool. Like I didn't know what to think. Israeli people don't look like Israeli people
No?
from America. No, they're all olive skinned, blue eyes. Like it's different. It's a complete different. And it was cool because being Catholic, I went to a lot of the Jesus was here locations, and stuff. So I think I was 20 then. Yeah, 20 years old. So it was pretty cool. And the fact we did that and we went unscathed. Like that was really cool to walk out the other end of
It's kind of badass for
sure.
Yeah.
And we got some, I don't think we got medals, but ribbons for it. We got to paint 2 Libyan MiGs on the side of the ship.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And the guys that shot them down got to paint MiGs on the side of their airplanes, and there's a whole celebration that goes with that. So it was pretty cool for, you just never know when you join the military. Like, is shit going to go down? And you kind of hope not, right? Because I think so one of the coolest pictures I've taken with Irreverent Warriors was we were on a march, and I want to think it was in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. And we got word that this anti-war protest was going on in this park that we were going to walk by.
Oh, Jesus.
And everybody's like, oh, shit. So we met them, and we talked to each other. And I took a picture of a buddy of mine talking to a woman with like a sandwich board on that said "No More War." And to me, the duality of it was like, as as military people, we don't want war either. I mean, I'm sure there's a handful of people that go, yeah, I want to go get involved in some shit. But I think for the most part,
yeah,
you want to be strong and ready in case something happens.
right.
But for the most part, you don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
Right. So you just wonder, is shit going to happen? And then it does. And you're like, hey, that was kind of cool. But on the flip side, I got a letter, and it's funny to say. It took 2 weeks to get to me, and it was my mom said, hey, I heard what happened. I said a prayer for the mothers of the 2 pilots that were killed, the Libyan pilot. And I'm like, I never even thought. I didn't give one thought to that there was even human beings like in the cockpit. It was just the enemy. We shot them down.
yeah. Did your
And
job.
that was it. I didn't even think, hey, we just killed, maybe killed. Like the pilots are saying they saw 2 shoots and splash, which is like saw them in the water. So I don't know if they lived or not, but I'm saying I didn't give it a thought. I didn't care. So my mom though gave me the perspective of they are humans and they're putting their uniform on for their country too.
I was going to say, do you think it's well, it must be, right? It's not you think, it's the training, right? It's to look at the enemy as the enemy and not human, maybe. You know what I mean? Because it's either kill or be killed.
Yeah, and it's funny, still to this day, it's hard for me to not picture Russians as the enemy. Because I was a Cold War
Right, that's right. Yeah.
military. And Russia was the big bad wolf, the big bad enemy. And it was ingrained in it. They're trying to kill us.
Yeah.
And so now, even 30-something years later, I'm like, whenever I hear even the word Russian, I'm like, enemy.
Red flag.
Red flag,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Right.
For sure. And I did look up, we were talking, I had my computer pulled up. That saying was amor fati, love of fate or love of one's fate. Damien Vargas, that's the saying you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I just think it's cool. Like I definitely, and so the trip that I went on, I'm by nature a big control freak. I was in sales forever. So after my Navy career, I did a bunch of things. I went down to Florida to become a professional golf caddy.
Oh, nice. Wow. Are you into golf?
I was into caddying. I grew up my
okay.
whole life I caddied. And
Yeah.
I think that made me a good salesperson because from age 10 on through high school, I was dealing with C-level people just on a golf course and kind of negotiating with them, like trying to get a good tip.
A lot of business is done on the golf course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did a lot of stuff, but I really, really believe. Well, so being a control freak, being in sales, when I went on my trip, I planned everything out to the nth degree, and I didn't use any. Like I can't say any of it, but I didn't use much of it because once I got out there, once I got on the road, I realized this is so much bigger than me. Like I don't know what I've gotten myself into.
Oh yeah. So
Right.
you're right. The 50 states for the beer.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Can we? I have
yeah,
one more question.
Sure.
Let's take a sip break. Stay tuned for part 2 next week. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. To see photos of today's guests and more content, just search American Grown Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
If you'd like to be a featured guest on the podcast, please direct message or email Austin at americangrownpod@gmail.com.
This episode was brought to you by these sponsors.
Cleona Coffee Roasters is a small batch coffee roastery and coffee shop. Veteran and first responder owned, community oriented, and roasted fresh to order. Now open inside 911 Rapid Response, Annville, PA. Go to CleonaCoffeeRoasters.com to order online, see updated hours, and find where you can buy it close to you.
Triggered 22 LLC, a veteran-owned apparel company. By purchasing a t-shirt, hat, or hoodie from Triggered 22, you're not only supporting a small business, but you're bringing awareness to veteran PTSD and suicide. Please help save the lives of those who fought for our freedoms. Visit triggered22.com now and place your order. Let's help those suffering from invisible wounds.